Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Renee. Thank you so much for joining. Today, my guest is Dr. Bhushan Patwardhan, eminent research professor with India's Ministry of Ayush, which deals with holistic healthcare disciplines. Dr. Bhushan Patwardhan is a senior consultant with WHO and member of the Lancet Citizens Commission. And I also want to share with the viewers, he's a widely published author, and his new book, From Genome to Om, which he's co-authored with Indu Ramchandani, is making a lot of waves, especially during the holiday time. It's a time of reflection, time of introspection, who we are, what is the purpose of life. And this book says it all. You being a researcher, and here you're talking about science, empirical science to metascience. It's a journey from empirical knowledge to the journey that takes us to the wisdom of our sages, saints, and seers to a very grounding, enriching future. So tell us the genesis of this book.
Yeah, first, thank you, Dr. Renee. Genome to Om, I must tell you that this book was brewing in the mind for last 20 years. In 2000, I had written an article, hypothesizing that Ayurveda is a personalized medicine. And the way Ayurveda classifies human being based on their constitution, which is known as Prakriti, three types of Prakriti or three body types called Vata, Pitta and Kapha, But hypothesizing one thing, and as you know in science, we have to work to prove or disprove our hypothesis. So we did some small study at that time to show that there is Ayurveda, there is a genetic basis to Prakriti. And that study we did on HLA DRB1 gene polymorphism, and we showed that the alleles of this gene get distributed statistically differently in these three Prakriti. This was for the first time the solid scientific evidence came in support of traditional concepts or Ayurvedic theory. At the same time, Dr. Renee, I was also reading Upanishads, and I got stuck at one Upanishad called Ishavasya Upanishad. It's a very profound Upanishad, and there is a aphorism in Ishavasya Upanishad, which is known as Shanti Mantra or Purna Mantra. It reads that Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevaya Shishyate. What does it mean? This means that the Upanishad is telling us that this is complete, that is also complete. If you remove something from what is complete, what you remove also has a capability to become complete, and what remains also has a potential to become complete. And then I said, wow, this is the definition of genome. Because at the same time, Human Genome Project was evolving. This is about 2003, then I said, wow, this is something, the correlation between Om and genome was very fascinating. And I thought that I must now read more about Upanishads and try to understand what are their messages that they are giving, So this is how the whole story started. And the name of the book was first, when I considered 2003, it was named as Om to Genome.
Okay.
But then while I was progressing, I realized that the Om to genome is not the correct trajectory. That today genome should come back to Om to learn more and to get into the right direction. Because here genome is not just genome. In the book, genome represents modern science. Om represents the ancient knowledge systems. So this is how then the name became Genome to Om.
Yeah, because we're taking the journey from state-of-the-art advancements going into AI now, and then we're going to move back to home. We have like the 7 stages of life, going back home, back to the wisdom that we're talking about. There's another mantra in the Bhagavad Gita that's Anora Niyan Mahato Mahiyan, that God manifests everywhere. He's greater, the greatest, subtler than the subtlest. And this again is very much seen in your book. It's very thought-provoking. You have reached the moon, we've gone to the Mars, we can at the push of a button get anything and everything, but yet we're dissatisfied, we are restless, we're living in a very complex world, and we don't have many answers. And like you said, from genome to omnibus, that's where science ends with no answers. That's where spirituality begins. So
Absolutely.
that's whether we're talking about the primordial sound.
I also got stuck with another Upanishadic aphorism, and that said, Prajnanam Brahma. Taittiriya Upanishad, And I said that what is this Prajnanam Brahma? What are they trying to tell us? What is Prajnan? And so then when I started going deep into this, I realized that there are three stages broadly I have divided in, The first stage is getting information. That is Gyan, simple Gyan information or even knowledge for that matter, you can say. Then the next stage is Vishesha Gyan. And Vishesha Gyan is Vigyan. And Vigyan is something parallel to our modern science. Modern science, actually, we rely, as a biochemist or pharmacologist, I am also trained in the reductionist sciences. We are taught that what we see, what we hear, what we smell, that means what we perceive by our five senses, Panchendriya, is only true. I accept only that. Beyond that, I don't accept anything. If I'm not able, so this is empirical evidence, what we rely on. But then I started asking, what is that Prajnan? So Prajnan is, there was no parallel word in English, for that. So I chose metascience. Prologue of this book, we have discussed and explained that Prajnan and metascience, they are not actually, the complete meaning is not captured. And metascience is not metaphysics in our book. Or metascience is not meta-analysis also in our, it is something different. So it was not well-defined term. So we have defined this term in this book, and we have said that this Prajnan is somewhere near to metascience, what we want to call it as. Because the five senses, what we can't measure, For example, if we are not able to see bacteria with naked eye, then we invented microscope. We can't get a stargazing, it's not possible with eyes, we get telescope. We can't see inside our body, we get MRI or other scans, So, but these are again extensions of our senses. So then I started thinking about what is beyond this? What is science of science? In short, if I want to tell you what is the evolving journey of science to metascience, science actually studies nature. Science can tell you about these plants, about these animals, what kind of classification we do, what kind of biochemistry they have, what enzymes, what hormones, all that science can tell you. Metascience is science of science. So if science talks about nature, metascience talks about nature of that nature. This is very profound. And so Prajnanam Brahma, they are talking about, it is similar. This is one of the Mahavakyas in Upanishad. Tattvamasi is another Mahavakya, Aham Brahmasmi is another Mahavakya. So I have tried to really capture the meaning, essence of these Mahavakyas in this book by bringing or connecting it with the current available information. So you will find that in this book, we have given the first chapter itself starts with genome. Genome meaning we have elaborated what is the height of today's or frontiers of modern science today, and we have taken, Dr. Renee, almost 10,000 years of modern science evolution. Many critics have told me that how you have been able to do this 10,000 years of history in such a crisp manner in this chapter. We have not stopped here, because along with the advantages of science, there are perils also. So we have discussed these perils in the next chapter, which is opening or giving opening to the third chapter, which is going to the origin, from where we are, from the whole origin of the universe, the Big Bang. What is it?
Yeah, because you start with the origin, then the ancient civilizations, then you move on. So we are not right now in the Arthropocene era. We're getting into, hopefully, down the road, Symbiocene era, where we are interconnected with nature. And I wanted to ask you, you're talking about this journey from genome to omnibus. Is this also your personal journey, a journey of experience of of your inner pilot guiding you through this book?
Very good question. Actually, to be frank with you, it is. And although I have been, and I have talked about this in my preface, but just to tell you, I was brought in a joint family, in a family where we did not know what do you mean by cousin brother. Brother is brother. And 25 of us were staying in one family, one kitchen, eating where we had no separate bedrooms or anything of that kind. And by nature, right from the beginning, I was atheist. I was going to temple, I was doing fasting because my father was Ganesh Bhakt. So even today I know Ganpati Atharva Shirsha by heart. We recite it. But my faith was more in my father than in any typical God. But as I progressed, I realized that you may not give some name to the God, but there is some superpower, which is governing all of us, and we are not able to understand it. And Vedas and Upanishads are trying to tell you, what that could be. And Om actually represents that part. As I was telling you, the modern science and empirical evidence and our trust and our focus only on the evidence which we can understand. I must tell you that most of the major discoveries in the world, I'm telling you, major discoveries have not come only through laboratory experimentation. Majority of the major discoveries have come through intuition.
Exactly.
And what is that? So what is Anubhav? Those who understand Sanskrit, they will understand it more. But Anubhav is like experimentation, experiences. But there is Anubhuti. So you can measure the Anubhav or by experimental evidences. But how do you measure Anubhuti? If you have got experience yourself, that is Anubhuti. And I think that difference of Anubhav and Anubhuti, we have discussed this. I will give you example of Carl Friedrich Gauss, a self-taught German mathematician. He said that he knew his discoveries of formulas right in the beginning. He worked backwards actually to prove them. The same story is with Indian mathematician Ramanujan. He also knew his entire formulas right in advance. So how does it come? From where it comes? Although I am author of this book or Induji is co-author of this book, both of us believe that this book has evolved. Because if I look at the book today, I wonder that I have written this book when? So I must have been, and when I was writing, I experienced that I go in trance when I write. And when I complete my writing, I think, wow, how it has come. And you will realize that similar experiences, most of the artists also get.
Yes.
When they create that, they don't know how it comes. So this is something which today we are not able to understand. But that doesn't mean that we should reject. Reject what we don't understand today, in my opinion, is also not scientific. Because science has to have a curious mind. We should not have closed mind. And that's what we have discussed in this book, trying to really open the minds and try to understand the unseen, try to see the unseen, and try to understand something which we are not used to in daily life.
And as you rightly said, scientists should have a curious mind. But now we have clinical evidence about when we take that inner journey. So that is experiential. And you talked about it. It's all about experience. It's not just theoretical knowledge. But now there are clinical studies that are proving when we take that inner journey, we discover who we truly are. So we have made many discoveries, many innovative ideas, many state-of-the-art technological advancements, but the real discovery is knowing yourself, and that is going within. And there are clinical trials about what happens when we take that inner journey, how we still the mind, and that peace that comes in, and that you connect with also Ayurveda, because you are doing so much research in it, and that's how we connected with one another. And now it's Genomics. So that is the new trend that is happening when you're combining science with the ancient knowledge of Ayurveda.
Yeah, and just expanding on your point, Renee, means just small one concept from Ayurveda we took, and the whole new science emerged out of it, which is now known as Ayurgenomics. And I'm saying that there are hundreds of such knowledge points sitting in these ancient knowledge systems. And we should really look at them from curiosity point of view and not just reject them outright. That's what my point is. And I am saying, we are saying in this book, Renee, that if yesterday's science fiction has become today's reality, when I was growing up in the college, Star Wars, Star Trek, we grew with seeing them. At that time, nobody believed. Today, it has become reality. The Interstellar or these movies, they are not no more movies. It is coming into what Elon Musk is doing today. It is becoming a reality. So, yesterday's science fiction can become today's or has become today's reality. So, why can't we look at mythology as sources of new ideas, new research ideas? If you look at Nobel Prizes during last 5 years, you will find that majority of them are linked some way or other to the ancient concepts, whether it is upavas or fasting and autophagy, or whether it is chronobiology, or whether 2022 Nobel Prize, which talked about the Advaita, the quantum entanglement. What Advaita is telling you is exactly that. So what we do is, when somebody else invents, we go back to our Shastra and tell we knew it 5,000 years ago, 10,000. That is not enough. We have so many things that today's science doesn't know. And so we should really do serious science on that without compromising the rigor of science. We should be able to do that. And there the new science will emerge. All said and done, I must tell you that although science has evolved so much, it is being used for what purpose? Look at that. Science today, by and large, is used to satisfy my own ego, to satisfy my own greed, to satisfy my own position in my own turf, to get more and more profit.
Yeah.
But this is not the purpose of science. The purpose of science is universal well-being. Are we doing that with the advancements? Purpose of science is not to discover deadly weapons or go to bioterrorism and all these kinds of things, But therefore, we are saying the progress of modern science, now it's the time for modern science to take a pause, look back, and see what trajectory we are taking.
Yeah.
And there is a need for mid-term correction.
Yeah.
And we are saying in this book that Om, that is ancient knowledge and wisdom, will help us to get that mid-term correction and correct our trajectory to the well-being path.
Yeah. We have to reframe new conversations, change the trajectory. And I also wanted to go back to your book where you talk about there was interconnectedness, there was harmony in the beginning. Somewhere it got disrupted with the decline of kingdoms and wars. And it's also, you talk about the sambhasas, the Tadvid sambhasas, the intellectual discourses, and the Ayurvedic texts also talk about all this. Now we're going to want to go back to that same interconnectedness. We've seen wars, we've seen unrest, we've seen violence. So I think it's now back to that same era of harmony, interconnectedness, back with our circadian rhythm, back with our nature, back with unity and diversity. That interconnectedness is now, I think, the call to action that you're talking about. And I think all of us would agree on that.
Absolutely. And therefore, you will see that the book evolves for first two chapters about science and perils. In that, we are saying that the perils, giving example of AI, and now this year Nobel laureates also have expressed their worry about it, and we have quoted them when they were not Nobel laureates, but we have quoted their worries in our book, So we are saying that we are actually on the verge of the fourth Big Bang. The first Big Bang, we know, we hypothesized about the universe origin. The second Big Bang, I would say that it was invention of dynamite, by Alfred Nobel. And finally, he had to establish the Nobel Prize for Peace. Same third Big Bang was the Manhattan Project,
Yeah.
And Oppenheimer also finally had to go to Gita. And we are saying that the fourth major Big Bang is on the way, and we must stop it. It is through the misuse of AI, nanotechnology, and biotechnology put together. It's a very, very uh, difficult to predict, but major Big Bang might come, So all that with examples we have discussed in this book. And then we are coming to the basic questions. As we said that we have to look at that interconnectedness. So for doing that, we have to identify ourselves. Who are we? What is my origin? What is life? What is the origin of life? And there is so much of science in origin of life, and there is so much of wisdom in ancient sciences. Like ancient, there is another aphorism in Upanishad called Pindi and Brahmandi. Yatha Pinde Tatha Brahmande. That means that it is same like Anureneya Mahatma Manaviniya, almost the same meaning, that whatever is there in the universe, everything is there in me. So we all are connected. Myself is connected with the universal consciousness. My consciousness and universal consciousness are not different. We are all same. We are all same. And like genetic code is same irrespective of which species you come from, this consciousness also is same. So we have tried to really discuss about this consciousness in the book, because consciousness is again not very well understood today. Because where is mind? That itself is a question.
Yeah.
And we are saying in this book, giving some examples from Upanishads and all that. We believe that mind is there in every cell has its mind. Every cell knows when to die. Apoptosis, what we talk about. So we have discussed all this science excellently when we talk about what is life. Then after understanding what is life, we go to who we are. Who am I? These are again Upanishadic questions. And you will remember that 2000 some year, I exactly don't remember, but American Association of Advancement of Sciences, which is one of the largest scientific association which publishes a journal like Science, they had organized a conference, and the conference name was Becoming Human and Beyond. And for that conference, they had given the questions. And these questions are all Upanishadic questions. Who am I? Why am I here? So these questions we have taken and we have elaborated them using the Upanishadic information or knowledge, their insights, as well as the modern research, what is happening there. And what is purpose of my life? Is my purpose of life is just to get more and more comfort? These are the questions we have. And purpose is not just ikigai. Ikigai is not the only purpose in my life, or purushartha, what we talk about. So
we have to go beyond the level of the mind when we have to make that self-discovery. And that's why I think the prayer, Dhammasoma Jyotirgamaya, take me from darkness to light. We need that to guide us, that inner pulse that give us that direction. And do you feel that we are in that Anthropocene era that I talked about, and you should intersect with the Symbiocene era, which is interconnectedness? Are we there? Are we going to get there soon? What is your take on that?
It is, we feel in the book we have ended on a positive note. We are saying that although we have entered in Anthropocene much earlier from Holocene than expected, because today the weight of human-made mass is larger than biomass. So we are in a very shaky grounds, and therefore we see the catastrophes what we see around in environment and all other. But there is a time now to take mid-course correction. And how to do that? There is no prescription, and in the book we are not giving any prescription. We are empowering our readers to take decisions. We are not taking. I must tell you that this book is an agnostic book. This book is a global book. And although you will find that more knowledge pieces come from Vedic systems, it is not a Vedic book. Although the name is Om, it is not only about Om. Yeah. Because in the book you will find that we have taken knowledge from all possible sources, from all civilizations, from all knowledge sources. So you will find their Greek philosophy, you will find their Mesopotamian culture information, you will find there about the Aborigine people, what they think about it, you will find Chinese philosophies there, So, and even in religions also, we have taken all religions, and what ultimately you will see that everybody is giving you the same message. And that message is the interconnectedness, and harmony, or what we call it as Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam.
That's what it is.
That's what the whole message is all about.
That's what it is. Truth is one, sages call it by different names, Vasudeva Kutumbakam.
Absolutely.
And you have not brought in any rituals or dogmas. You've talked about universality.
Yes.
So it's on a global level. Anybody can relate to it. It's not confined to one part of the world or one religion. It goes beyond that. Their spirituality is way above that. And you're talking about the interconnectedness between spirituality and science, between philosophy and technology. And once we get that, I think we will be in a very better space. We'll be having that universal well-being that we're all striving for at this point of time.
For example, there is a chapter on mind, and we are talking about difference between thinking and knowing.
Exactly.
So these are subtle differences. We normally don't think about it, but thinking and knowing. I had discussed this idea with Nobel laureate Brian Josephson. I had gone to Cambridge to talk to him. Now, Brian Josephson's current work is mind-matter unification. That's what he's talking. The quantum physicist. He was working on origin of thoughts. From where thoughts origin. So these are all very, very interesting scientific questions also. But there is so much of knowledge which is there in ancient knowledge systems. So we are saying that we should look at ancient knowledge as source of innovation. That's what one message also we are trying to give this and we are saying yoga is another very, very important component of the whole thing, because I don't think the way in which Patanjali has talked about mind, and I really believe that every psychiatry and psychology curriculum, if they don't include Patanjali as a textbook, they will remain incomplete. Such a profound book is that, and Patanjali, the way in which mind has been discussed, we have brought that here, and we are saying that there are stages of our evolution. We are saying that homo deus is not enough. We have to be homo spiritual if we really want to move ahead. And we have given very interesting examples. Like we have given example of movie Lucy. Scarlett Johansson has brilliantly acted in it. It's a action movie, in which, and that movie tells us that if the yogic powers are misused, or if you are able to buy these powers or siddhis, then what disasters can happen. Because siddhis are some obstacles in your human evolution to your spirituality, You will get those siddhis and you will get trapped into those siddhis,
Right.
So you have to overcome them.
Yes.
So we have given those siddhis also. Interesting chart we have given in the book, which talks about the levels of siddhis. You remember, if you have seen Lucy, the last question when the scientist asks, when he just didn't see Lucy where. So he asked, Lucy, now where are you? And the answer Lucy gives, now I am everywhere. The connection between me, self, and universal consciousness.
In spirituality, 1 + 1 is not 2, it's 1. That's what it is all about. And once we get that right understanding through the right thinking, I think we've made a very big discovery. So I always say, from quantum computing to quantum leap within. That's what we need at this point of time.
Yeah, absolutely. Thinking and knowing knowing about us, who we are also going, and the chapter is on death and beyond. Asking this, is death end or it is the beginning?
Yeah.
And why should we get scared of death? Because that's the only reality in the life. How we should prepare. So all that interesting discussions you will find in the chapters, about death. And we have also given various examples like near-death experiences, what people have talked about, or out-of-body experiences. Samadhi, when we talk about it, people never believed in it. But now Nature also has published a research article on out-of-body experiences. Penfield to Patanjali, there is a connection between these.
What is next for you? Are you going to continue with this book, talk more about it? Because right now it doesn't give solutions. It just makes you think, and makes you think, should we recalibrate our thinking? Should we reframe conversations?
A very good question again, and you will find that in this book, we end this book with Om scene. We are saying that there is something called Om state, which you should really, and Om state is nothing a special state, it's way to achieve your own potential, maximum optimum potential of every. That's the way. But this we have not given any formula or any guidelines or any guidance or even pointers about how to go there, because in this book we have just portrayed the picture, the big picture. Now the next book will be on the Om way.
Oh, wonderful.
This took 20 years. I don't know how long. Om way is a long way. And again, I trust that it will evolve. It will unfold.
The change comes from within. So the story will come from within for you. Thank you so very much, Dr. Bhushan Patwardhan.
Thank you, Dr. Renee.
I'm Dr. Renee. Thank you so much for watching. Stay healthy, stay positive.